Hello and welcome back to the Alchemical Arts. I thought it would be appropriate to do a little bit of an update video, considering that late last year I took a bit of a hiatus from doing the channel, and I put out a video last week, and I'm basically intending to get everything back going again and, start making more pigments and working my way through all of the various different experiments in color making and other sort of artistic things. So I thought, let's just go through a little bit of an update of what I would like to work on over the coming months and talk a little bit about why I took the break. So basically, last year it just sort of became apparent that a combination of my own mental health issues that I'd had for a number of years now, plus the pandemic and the stress of running a business, it all just became a little bit too much for me, having to try and process all of this stuff. And I had just finished doing that online course, and I really just needed a little bit of time to step away and do some other things and take some time to sort of work on recovering and that sort of stuff. And it's come around to this year, and I'm feeling confident to jump back into things, and I'm pretty excited to get everything going again. So yeah, I should be aiming to put out as many videos as I can in the coming months. So firstly, I'm working on, at the moment, I have some indigo here that I'm working on to try and make Maya blue. So I'm going to be taking some of the woad that we did last year and some other just indigo powders and doing some extractions and trying to figure out Maya blue, which is a complicated yet seemingly simple project. I have tried it a number of times early last year and failed, and I have no idea if I'm going to succeed this time around, but we'll give it a go. And I think some of the other things I'm really keen to work on this year is some of the big, sort of more iconic pigment projects which I have yet to touch, because I kind of wanted to wait until some of my video skills were there and I developed the channel a little bit more and got better at doing this. So I'm going to look at doing traditional natural ultramarine, which is from the lapis lazurite stone. And that's a very interesting, complex, and time-consuming project that I really want to get right, and I really want to do that because it's, traditional ultramarine has been, it's the most iconic blue and the most precious blue pigment on artist palettes for hundreds and hundreds of years now. There's a reason why blue has been revered in a lot of art for a really long time, and it's because of the complexity of ultramarine. Some of the other more iconic projects that I would like to work on is maybe, if space allows, I would like to work on vermilion, which is obviously complex and difficult and something that needs to be handled with care given the fact that it uses mercury. But again, it's one of those iconic reds, and I would really like to get to doing some of that work. But we'll see about that one. That might be one I have to push to further in the future. Other than that, I have a lot more exploration in lake pigments, Mars pigments, ochre pigments. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Part of my limitations this year is that I've had to move house and I don't have a very big dedicated workspace, and so I probably won't be able to get the kiln up and going or any of the forge stuff like that. So doing inorganic pigments that require like high temperature calcination is probably not something I'm going to be tackling at this point in time, given like the lack of space to do a lot of that. So I'm going to be sticking to more non-toxic or minimal toxicity, minimal complexity in chemical process pigments. As I said, lakes, Mars pigments, ochres, and a bunch of other things. So that should be good, and I may even do some specific at-home pigment making guides for stuff that you could do in the kitchen using kitchen-related tools, because even when I make simple pigments, I'm still using a hot plate with a magnetic stirrer and a vacuum pump, and you know, I've got all the beakers and Erlenmeyer flasks and things like that. And this is stuff that people don't have, so maybe I'll do some videos showing you how to make pigments just using jars, kitchen funnels, coffee filters, stove, mortar and pestle, simple stuff like that. The other thing I'd like to do is, as I said, last year I completed my first online course, which was how to make your own watercolors. And I got really good feedback from that, and I was happy with how that turned out. I sort of went through as much of what I knew about making watercolor paints and put that into an online course to try and make it as easy for people to follow and learn how to do that process themselves. And I put a really big emphasis in that course on troubleshooting issues, because so much of what we do as artists or in any of these sorts of fields is figure out problems and solutions to the problems, because every pigment, every material you work with presents different working properties because they're unique chemistry, and you end up with endless amounts of troubleshooting that needs to be done. So that was one of the major emphases of the watercolor course. If you're interested in learning how to make watercolors, there'll be a link in this description to the course for this video here, and you can head on over and have a look at how that all works. And so I thought this year I'll also work on a new course, because I also got a lot of interest in pigment making, and obviously this is a pigment making channel, so obviously making a course on how to make your own pigments is probably the next logical step for me to do. So I'd actually like some feedback from anyone who's watching this video, as if you're interested in a pigment making course. I'm thinking of a few different ways of structuring it. I'm thinking of looking at a module on, I'm looking at either doing just a beginner's guide to lake making, or a overall like in-depth course on natural pigments, so ochres, lakes, carbon blacks like from charcoal, and chalks and things like that. So it would be a case of structuring it in different sorts of modules. Do I do a course specifically focused on lake making? Do I do a course on specific lakes like Madder Lake or Weld or Woad and Indigo? Or do I do a bigger, more extensive course on natural pigments? So go through ochres, how to burn and prepare ochres of different shades, how to collect them and test for the colors, as well as combining that with lakes and other various simple or easy to produce natural organic pigments. I shouldn't say natural organic, that's an incorrect use of the term, but anyway, you get what I'm saying. Or do I also do like a module on simple synthetic pigments, so synthetic Mars, so the iron pigments, things like Prussian blue, maybe some of the simple copper pigments. I don't know, I'm just throwing ideas out there, so let me know what you think, and I'm going to sort of try and refine and work out what would be a good structure for a beginning pigment making course. So that's about it for the update at the moment. I would like to give a big thanks to everybody who's supported me over the last 2 years. It's certainly been an up and down ride, particularly my Patreon supporters. Again, that's something I'm going to get to, reassessing what I'm doing with the Patreon and what I'm doing with those sorts of things. But keep an eye out, and should be more videos to come in the next couple of weeks. As I said, I'm pretty deep into this Maya Blue project at the moment, and yeah, it's coming along. There's still a lot to figure out. But yeah, as I said, let us know about the course. Let us know what you'd like to see on the channel coming forward. And I hope to see you soon with some pigment stuff. Thanks for watching.